So, I have decided to do another video. This time I'm going to explain my awakening process and also the things that were shown to me as I had my awakening. I'm going to move the camera away from my face because it just helps me focus on what I need to talk about instead of looking at myself on the camera. So I'm just going to move it over to this alpaca rug that I have on my on my wall. My father, who is passed away recently, he left this to me, which I absolutely love, and it is incredibly beautiful and soft, and I just love looking at it um, and touching it. It's just an amazing piece that he had acquired while he was in Peru. He was there teaching for a couple of years in his early 30s, I believe. But anyway, sorry, this camera angle is not working very well. And I have to, there we go. Okay, so purpose of this video is to I'm just going to put everything out on the table. For the past over 10 years now, I've been awake, as they call it. And, it's been very hard for me to talk about certain things to people because they don't quite understand or grasp, and they think, oh, she's going, I'm going to the loony bin. Well, how do you think I felt when all this stuff was being revealed to me? And I thought, oh my gosh, am I going crazy? And I've never, I've had a pretty normal childhood. I was raised in a Christian home, and we went to church every Sunday, and I've studied the Bible many times, and I still refer to it even now. So this whole process has been quite a journey for me. So without further delay, my awakening happened around 2008, 2009. I always knew that I was different. I always felt different compared to other children growing up. And, looking back at my childhood, I always had a high intuition, and I always just knew things before they would happen. It's just that, that gut instinct. And I would mention things to my parents, or I would question my parents about something. And then before they could even give me the answer, it was like I knew exactly what they were going to say. And I blurted out what they were about to tell me that, in their head. And it just it freaked my father out. He was like, how does she know what I'm about to say when she asked me the question as if she doesn't know the answer? And she's only 4 years old. How could she know the answer? I did this a lot. And over the years, I realized, wow, okay, I guess I must have some kind of telepathic ability or something. Anyways, I started when I was in my early 30s. I started watching some paranormal research shows with mediums and psychics, and I was like, I just had a connection with them, and I just thought, I wonder, this explains a lot, some of the things that they pick up on explains a lot of what I have experienced. And, maybe I am a medium, maybe I'm a seer, I don't know. So, I bought some books, and I started reading a lot about, psychic abilities and how to access them. I also joined a few networks online of other people that were psychic, and they were trying to help me, recognize my abilities. So they were like, try this and see if this happens. See if you can do this. And they just couldn't believe all the things that I was able to do. Remote viewing, astral projection, telepathy, clairvoyance, clairaudient. There I can do a lot of things, and I have seen things that are otherworldly. I've had experiences that are unexplainable. So, a lot of times hauntings and stuff don't really scare me because I know what's going on. I'm aware. So it's like sometimes I make a joke out of it, or I'll laugh at them. I'll make conversation with who's ever trying to get my attention. But anyway, I also communicate with my spirit guides, which I believe are my soul family, and I'll go into that later. Basically, when I had my awakening and my third eye became open, which I did through some meditations that were guided on YouTube. YouTube has been a great tool for me because there's so many teachers out there that will help you through this awakening process. However, you need to go with what you feel in your heart is right. Not your mind, but your heart and your gut. If something doesn't feel right, don't follow it, because we all have a different journey to do, a journey here in this life. And we all have different purposes, and someone's purpose may be to teach, someone's purpose may be to heal, someone's purpose may be to be a messenger, a warrior. We all have different reasons, and so we really need to trust our intuition on those things. Through this awakening process, you will discover who you truly are. It's a continuous finding as you open your mind and your crown chakra. Your crown chakra is a chakra that's above your head. We all know where the third eye is. It's that third eye that's between your two physical eyes and just up on your forehead. And one of the reasons why the East Indian culture, they put that little there's a name for it. I can't think of it. That little piece of jewelry there, that's where your third eye is. And part of the reason why they do that is to expand their consciousness. All right, so I won't go into their culture right now, but basically, when I started having these past life regressions when I started my awakening process. And every time I would meditate, it was like I was tripping out. And I thought, what in the world is happening? I'm not even on drugs. And I feel like I'm tripping out. Like, it was insane, the amount of information that was coming at me. And I almost felt just overwhelmed. I'm like, I need to, how do I slow this process down? Well, there is really no, once you are awake, there's really not much, well, you can slow down if you allow yourself to become more into the 3D dimension that most people are living in, 3D vibration. I'll go into that in a minute. So when I had these past life regressions, I was shown I realized that my soul is like millions of years old. Millions. Like, I know, I'm not saying that to be, egotistical or arrogant or at all, but I was like, I'm seeing, I asked for my guides to show me where I began, the birth of my soul. Where did I come from? Um, we come from God, who is the source, all source. We are all sons and daughters of God. We think of us like little seeds that are, floating around, experiencing this world and other planets and galaxies across this universe. We all are experiencing for God. So think of this. If you were God and you created something absolutely beautiful, but you had no way to experience it, you're just looking at it. Like, okay, I built this video game, but I can't really go into it because I'm just the creator. How do I go into it? So what do? You create avatars. You create beings where you can take bits and pieces of, because he's God. It's God. It was basically, okay, God is not a being sitting on a throne with a staff. It's not what God is. God is a source of energy and all-knowing, an expanded consciousness is what God is. God is a creator. We are creators because we are part of God. Okay? So he wanted to take bits and pieces of him. We say him because, that's what we're used to in this, on this planet of saying, referring to God. So he took bits and pieces of himself, herself, whatever, gender neutral, right? And put them into avatars, beings, to experience this vast universe that he created. Okay. So there were, according to different planets and environments, there had to be bodies that could live in these environments, right? So there are different species, at least that some of us are aware of. There could be thousands more that we don't even know about, because we've recently learned how expanded this universe is. Like, it is beyond even comprehension. So the alien species that we are aware of that have interacted with some of us, and they are within this galaxy and beyond, just a little bit closer to our galaxy, but planet Earth was a baby planet that was discovered in the middle of a galactic war. Okay. And I have memories of my home planets. I had several of them because we were migrating. Our souls were migrating to different planets to get away from these lower dimensional beings that I guess you could refer to those. You could refer to Lucifer. The Bible talks about Lucifer and his fallen angels. That's what these lower beings resonate, that's where the connection is, all right? So these lower, they were lower, but okay, they're not as low dimensional as we are entirely, because they are able to exist in 4D and 5D. Okay, however, most of us were still in the 5D and higher when we were first existing in these avatars and these beings on different planets. Okay, we were above, as far as vibrational energy, we were in 5D and higher. They were lower. Okay, but they were not 3D, which is what we are here on Earth. All right. So I have memories of, I told them, take me to my first lifetime. I asked my guides, and through a meditation, they showed me I was on the planet. Well, it's not a planet. There's a planet within the constellation Lyra. Okay, the Lyrans. We were very kind of feline-like, and we have feline features. Some of us were shapeshifters. We could walk on two legs, but we could also run like a cat as well. We had big eyes with feline-type noses, and some had tails, some did not. It all depended on preference. I felt it seemed like anyway. We also have twin souls, twin flames, whatever you want to call them, which is our other half. Some people call them soulmates. This was our first lifetime together, but it seemed more like we were brother and sister in this incarnation that we were. We were on some planet in the Lyra constellation, and we had cat-like features. And I remember we're standing in some field on a hill, and with our mother, and she's looking to the skies, like, and saying, your father will be here soon. And she keeps looking at, we see spaceships that are flying around. We obviously, there's a war going on. Somebody is trying to attack our planet. Okay, and then next thing we know, a spaceship comes down. We run onto it. My father's the pilot, and we get on and we escape the planet. As we're going up out to the stars, our planet gets blown up, and it's very devastating. And I just remember, all the feelings and the sensations of that life came back to me as if I was reliving it. That's how I know it's real, because it was like I was actually there again, and I could feel everything. I remembered the emotions. I started crying. Now we had to find another place to go. We ended up in the Pleiades constellation, and we joined up with the Pleiadians, and we coexisted with them for a long time. Okay. And we started to form a galactic, well, I hate to sound so Star Trek-y, but they started to form a federation, an army, if you will, of multiple races that were trying to survive against these lower dimensional beings, which are the reptilians, the ones that attacked our planets. They're lizard-like, beast-like, dragon-like, serpent-like, demon-like kind of creatures. Okay, but they're smart. they're manipulative. They are they are masterful in deception. All right, they will appear to be nice and kind, and they also shapeshift so they can fool you. All right, they can pretend to be someone that they're not. They have magic skills that they use. Okay, it's easy to be deceived by a reptilian, or reptilian soul, I should say, as well, because they are also incarnated here on Earth. All right, and I've known a few of them. I'll go into that later. So we joined up with the Pleiadians. The Pleiadians are very tall, slim, Caucasian-like skin, but very white and almost veiny. It's like you can see the veins through their skin, but they're blonde. There are some that are brown haired, but they mostly have blue eyes and blonde hair. And they're tall and slim and, beautiful avatar. I don't want to say avatars, but beings. Okay, so we joined up with them and we decided to form our own army to fight these reptilians. My dad, being a pilot, offered to help. So I had gone along on this galactic war. Now, because we did not have reincarnation cycles like we do here on Earth, this is an expansion of millions of years, okay? Like their time does not exist like we know out in space, okay? So these millions of years that had gone by there's no concept of real time like here on Earth, okay? So I can't really, but in our comprehension, it's millions of years, okay? Then we headed through the galaxy trying to find new homes to live on, new planets, right? And also in the meantime fighting off these reptilians and helping other species save their planets, okay? That's what we did. We had heard about Earth, this baby planet, although I don't think it was named Earth that we knew. That wasn't the name that we had for it, but we found out about it. And we had heard that the reptilians had found it first. But when we heard about how different and unique this planet was, we had to go and save it. We had to try and save it from the grasps of the reptilians. Okay, so we finally came to Mars because it was kind of like, okay, we're going to dock here for a bit until we know that we can make it to Earth. Because Earth was being guarded heavily by the reptilians. They had put the dinosaurs there, kind of like a guard dog, saying, hey, we were here first. We're going to create these beasts so that you can't come and live here because it will be dangerous for you. Until they were put there until they were able to make a body that was able to live on Earth, because the density of this planet was unlike any that had been found anywhere in the universe that we had explored yet. Okay, so we docked at Mars. We were there for a while. We were trying to form an alliance in that time with the reptilians. Mars became attacked in that process. There was some nuclear explosion, and I have this vision of us trying to leave in a hurry. We were trying to get everything onto a spaceship so that we could be on the spaceship for a good while, So we had to get all of our stuff loaded, and we had to leave the planet. There were some that did stay in the underground cities. But we left on my father's ship, and we stationed ourselves outside of the realm of Earth, okay? I don't have memories of going to the moon. There were other species that were there already. I believe, the Syrians, and some reptilians. They had made a contract with each other already. And there were other races, the Lyrans, the Pleiadians, and the Andromedans, the Arcturians. All of us were wanting a piece of the pie. We wanted a piece of this planet. We wanted to be a part of this experimental planet because it was so different and beautiful. And we there was some fighting that went on, okay? And finally, we all decided, you know what, we better stop before this planet is gone, because we saw this planet as a baby, we didn't want it to be ruined. So we stopped the fighting. There were contracts that were formed so that we could all have a piece of the pie, a piece of the experience here on Earth, all right? So different races came together to create the human body avatar. In the Bible, it talks about, there is a phrase in the Bible in the beginning in Genesis where it says, "Let's make man in our image." Why do you think it says let's and our? A supreme being sitting on a throne with a staff did not make you, did not make us. We, those of us who are incarnated here, who were here in the beginning, we made you. We made the human body. We didn't make your soul. God did. But we made your body. We made the DNA. We took DNA from different species and created the human DNA. Then we took different mammals that were brought here and created by the Arcturians. The Arcturians and the reptilians were somewhat working together. The Arcturians are more mammal-like. They created a lot of the animals here on this planet. They were very scientific, and they themselves were also kind of mammal-like, but they were smart, but not in the sense of, how do I explain this? Their way of creation was obviously procreating, and mixing different species to create a species that, could last here on Earth. So they had all these experiments and stuff on their... So I'm seeing all these spaceships, okay, from different planets and constellations were basically parked around this planet Earth. And we're trying to come up with animals and humans and, of how we can create an existence that we can experience this planet, because this was a 3D planet, all right? Maybe 4D at one point, but eventually it suppressed to 3D. And we had to be able to live in a body that could experience and live long enough in this environment. Okay. So that is how everything came to be here. This is what was shown to me. It is not to defame God, who we know in the Bible. It's just the Bible has been, I believe, written in a sense so there's some truth to it, but a lot of it is metaphoric, not meant to be taken literally a lot of times. Also, it was rewritten by the Catholic Church in order to gain power and control of the people. Now, I'm going to go into the story of Adam and Eve, which is kind of metaphorical, because it will explain why things are the way they are. Adam and Eve, male and female, the human body, okay, was in a sense dumbed down on purpose, because we weren't quite ready to give them the awareness that we had. And the reason is because it was a safety measure. We didn't know what kind of implications it would have in this kind of environment that we live in. So there were contracts that were made saying, okay, you can take it this far and that's it, as far as their knowledge and awareness of consciousness, okay? After some time, the reptilians were getting frustrated because they have this hunger and thirst for power and control. And they couldn't reincarnate, all right? They couldn't have the human experience like some of us could. Some of us were able to go into the human body as a soul, okay? And that's called reincarnation. We were able to have this experience, but the reptilians were not. And they were very frustrated with this fact, because when you think about it, if you want to conquer an enemy, what do? You become a spy and you camouflage your enemy, right? So they thought, okay, we're going to start giving mankind conscious. So the whole meaning of Eve taking the apple from the tree of knowledge is not really a temptation, but the serpent saying, giving them an option. Do you want this knowledge? And sure, she said yes. So she volunteered. The reptilian gave them the pineal gland. And suddenly she was aware Her third eye had opened, and she was aware of her reality. And that is not necessarily a sin, but it wasn't the plan in the beginning. That was not the plan. They broke that contract. And that's why they call it a sin, because humans were not supposed to be consciously awake. When more and more humans were being born with the pineal gland, which helps activate the third eye, and more humans became more aware, instead of worshiping, there were a lot of civilizations that were worshiping some of us like gods, because we were more conscious and in a 4D, 5D dimension than they were. We were able to be like gods to them because we could do all these things. We had spaceships and all these things that they were not able to do. So therefore, we were worshipped, and some abused this power, okay? However, as time went on and more people were beginning to be born with the pineal gland, humans were then able to become more aware of their reality. But it also has its downfalls. With knowledge comes responsibility, right? With knowledge, we can gain power and control. We can manipulate and confuse people. We can play games with them, because so it can be a curse and it can be a blessing, but you're responsible for using it the right way, your consciousness and awareness the right way. That is your responsibility. All right, so the question we have to ask ourselves: would you rather be asleep or would you rather be awake? There are certain times where it is very necessary to be awake, especially right now with everything that's going on, not only here in America, but around the world. We are heading towards some dangerous times, and it is very important that you be awake. We need to understand what is going on and not fall victim to the propaganda and all of the lies and misconceptions that is going on. All right. Gotta look at my talking points here. If you notice, a lot of the hierarchy families, look at their facial features. Look at their features. A lot of the people in our corrupted government, a lot of them have lizard-like features. Now, there has been videos on YouTube kind of mocking this whole thing, like, oh, they're lizards. Well, it's because their souls are the truth is coming out more and more. As more people wake up, more people will see that reality. You know what I mean? So you need to look closely at people. They have certain features that reflect their soul. Those that have, big eyes, big blue eyes, or very Nordic looking or even feline looking. Some people look bird-like. The bird-like ones are, I don't, I'm not sure, I don't know if exactly if they're Arcturians, but um, they could be. They could be Andromeda. Uh, the Pleiadians obviously look, I mean, Pleiadians, tend to be more Nordic. Uh, However, I believe now it doesn't always matter what color your skin is. That represents, what kind of soul you have. There are earthly souls as well. There are a lot of earth souls that have only ever experienced life on earth, and that's it. And a lot of these souls are babies. If you know someone that constantly needs to be guided through life, they always need help or they act aloof and they just don't understand certain things about how things work. You would, like, especially if they're grown adults and they still act like this, and you're like, why can't they just grow up? Why don't they understand that this is the way life is, right? It's because they haven't lived enough lifetimes for them to grasp what they're truly experiencing. However, also being a new soul, they have this pureness to them in some ways. They have a very loving soul because they haven't been totally corrupted by millions and millions of lifetimes and karma and all of that. So, and yes, I've had a lot of past life regression meditations that I've done, and I've lived many lives. I don't know the exact number, but I was in Egypt. I I truly I have a memory of being in by Mount Vesuvius when it erupted. I died in that while I was trying to escape. And the reason why when I was in grade school, I did a report on Mount Vesuvius because I found an article in my dad's National Geographic about it. And I just was so drawn to it. And I didn't understand. Like, I was in fifth grade, I think, when I did this, fifth or sixth grade. And I just felt so, like, I just couldn't stop reading this article. I read the whole thing and I started crying because I don't know, like, I couldn't understand why I was crying over this National Geographic article. And I had looked at because he collected them, and I looked at many of his books, magazines. But this one just hit an emotional chord with me, and I didn't understand it, but I felt like I needed to do a report about it. So I did. And we had to create something from a historical event, like a prop or some kind of. So I made an active volcano. It was a fun project, but I felt very attached to this project. And and some years ago when I remembered about that project and how I was like, I asked myself, I wonder why I felt so emotionally connected to that, what happened there. And so I decided to do a past life regression about it, you know, to see, like, was I really there? If I was, show me everything that happened that I experienced, not what anyone else experienced. I wanted to know what I experienced. And during this meditation, I saw everything. It was horrifying. Horrifying. Anyway, so, and then I had another past life in Ireland when they had the potato famine, the potato disease. And we were starving, my family and I. We were starving. My children were starving. My husband, I was the last one to live. They all died of starvation. I had to take care of them. I watched them all die. I was the last one to go. That was also quite traumatizing to experience again. And then I believe the lifetime after that, which was my last lifetime, was during World War II. And my husband and I were Americans. We were living on an army base. We had 2 children. And it was during the middle of World War II. And my husband was being called to go and fight the Germans over, I believe, in France. And I was angry. I didn't want him to go. And I remember I have this vision of standing in the kitchen holding my kitchen towel and wringing it in my hands. I'm shaking and I'm wringing it so hard and I'm trying to fight tears, and he's got his back to me and he's telling me he has to go. He has no choice. And I said to him, "But you won't come back." And he's like, "You don't know that." I said, "I know you won't." And then I left the room. I remember our last meal together as a family. It was my son's birthday. We were celebrating his birthday, and it was our last meal as a family. It was a very wonderful time. And then that evening, him and my husband and I were dancing, listening to some music on a record player. And we had a couple drinks and we were slow dancing, and it was very nice. And I don't know, soon, a day or 2 later, he left. I think he had been gone for like 2 years or something. Because my daughter looks a little bit older when I'm seeing this scene, like I'm experiencing this all over again. I feel everything, not just the emotions, but what I'm touching, what I'm seeing. It's like I'm being there all over again. My daughter says there's 2 men coming to the door, and at that point my heart just dropped, and I knew I didn't even have to look outside, and I knew. And I go to the front door and I'm already crying, and my daughter's standing next to me, who's about 6 or 7, and they told me that he had died over on Normandy Beach. They said, "I'm sure you heard about the attack." And I said, "Well, what about his body?" They said, "We can't bring him home because they couldn't find all of him. They couldn't find him. He was blown to pieces." And at that point, I just fell to the ground. And it's like, he was my other half. He was my soulmate. I just know. And at that point, I just was broken. It was like a part of me died with him. And I'm laying on the ground and I'm yelling at them to leave. And they respectfully did so. And my mom and my daughter standing there shaking, and she's like, "What happened to Daddy? What happened, Mama? You mean he's not coming home?" And you know, here's my daughter trying to get me up, but she just kind of let me lay there, and she laid on top of me until I finished crying. I couldn't watch that vision anymore. I could not watch that vision anymore after it was so hard. And anyway, so that was my last lifetime. And I don't think I lived very long. I probably, because I was trying to understand the time between when I was born in this life and the last life, and it's not very long. It was maybe 15 years, if not even, till I reincarnated again. And I truly feel like I came here on purpose. Like I didn't have to, but I came here because I felt it was necessary to be here during this time. And a lot of us are here for a reason. A lot of us came here because of what this planet is about to go through. A lot of people are waking up. A lot of consciousness is expanding over the human race right now. And with that, when you expand your consciousness and you expand it with love, you are raising your vibration. And just think of it this way. If all of us raised our vibration and we lit up this planet, imagine what kind of energy this earth would reside in. We would be a much higher vibrational planet. We wouldn't have to be dealing with all these lower vibrational energies of fear and suppression and worry and anger and hate, and that wouldn't exist. It wouldn't exist. So for the past actually the last 20 some years, people have been on a mission to raise the vibration of this planet so that we could have a shift of consciousness on this planet. What that means is the more people you can get to awaken, the more people you will save from the hell on this earth. Hell is a place of existence that you reside on. Okay, it's not an actual place, but it's a level of existence. And so is heaven. It is a level of existence, a level of consciousness that you put yourself in. Okay. Now this is what I believe to be the rapture. Okay, that the Bible talks about a new heaven and a new earth. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean a whole new planet. Okay? It's not what it is. It is, we are raising the level of existence, 5D, 6D. So those of us who are awake can exist in this higher realm. We don't have to exist in the lower consciousness. 3D, 2D. Now, I want to talk about Jesus Christ for a little bit. I truly believe that Jesus was here to show us how to exist in higher consciousness, how to become a higher conscious being, living in that unconditional love. That's how you get there. But you also have to be awake. You also have to have the knowledge of how to get there. He was here to show us the way. The reason he was able to do miracles is because he already existed in the higher vibrational conscious level. Our goal is to get there, to be there with him, is it not? So, when they say the return of Christ, they are talking about the return of the Christ consciousness. When we have that Christ consciousness as he did, as Christ, when we have the consciousness as Christ did, that is when we will rise to be with him, where he is able to exist and where he has gone up to higher realm. So, in the Bible, in the Revelation, it talks about the rapture. And I believe we are going to see that within the next 10 years, if not sooner. What I see happening, those of us who are living, who are already in these higher conscious levels, are working towards that, raising our vibrations, living in love and unconditional love, meditating. Please meditate, pray. You can pray, but meditation is also very important. Praying can do some things, but meditating is very important because you need to focus on, how do I explain? You need to raise your vibration. Listen to music that is going to do that. Music, guided meditation, loving yourself, loving others, that raises your vibration. Okay. When the shift happens, it will be because we've reached a level of so many souls being awake and consciously raising their vibration that the shift will happen. It won't happen unless people start doing what they're supposed to be doing here. It's why there's millions of us here right now, because we need to make this happen. We need to get these people out of the grasp of these reptilians. The Draconians is that's what their race is called, because they are from the Draco constellation. Okay? We need to get people away from the grasp of the evil that is poured across all over this world. We need these souls out of this continuous, reincarnation isn't bad, okay? But we're on this cycle that just, that's why we say history repeats itself. Because we're on this continuous cycle because people can't freaking learn. It's time for us to get out of that. We've spent way too long stuck on this Ferris wheel of a carnival ride. I'm done. I'm so done with it. And I want others to be done too. I want to save those who I love, and I want to save all these souls on this planet as I can and get them off of this freaking Ferris wheel. All right? So you need to help each other. You need to help each other awake. It doesn't mean being saved by, you can be saved by Jesus, but I don't think that might be the start of it. That might help some people. But it's also the knowledge of knowing how to raise your vibration in that love, in that unconditional love. You know what I mean? And the more people we have doing it, the more people we have meditating and focusing on that, the faster this will happen. Okay? So when this shift happens, it will be because of those of us who are trying to make it happen. So that is why you must be ready. That is why we do not know the day or the hour. We don't know when it will happen because we don't know what we're all doing simultaneously, right? That is why we don't know the day or the hour, because people are unpredictable most of the time. Some of the times not. We all have free will, but we need our free will to get in line with what we're supposed to be doing here. Okay? This shift happens. Those that are living in the 3D consciousness, not awake. Let's say you are standing with a friend that is in this 3D consciousness, and you have been raising your vibrations for a while now, and you are awake and you're in this love conscious, Christ conscious, okay? I feel like it will just happen in a blink of an eye, and I see this fog coming over. Like I don't think there will be an actual fog, but I think it will be a fog over the veil of our eyes. And 1 minute we will be there with that person, and the next we won't. We may see things somewhat the same when this shift happens, but the people that are in the lower vibration, they won't see us and we won't see them. And the reason how we will know if we are in the higher realm, the 4D or 5D, is in how we react to what just happened. If you are in the 3D, there will be panic, there will be fear, there will be confusion, there will be all kinds of accidents that happen. Planes fall down, car accidents, fires. There will be all kinds of mayhem. If you are in the 4D or 5D, you will already know what just happened. You will know what happened. Fear will not exist. And the reason why you won't be fearful is because you already know what is going on. Just like me, I know what's going on, right? I know what's going on. I know what's going to happen. So when this happens, you will not be afraid. You might feel some sorrow because those people are still behind. And yes, those people they will have a chance to wake up. They will be given another chance. But they will have to find out on their own how to do it. Because we won't be there. So, the shift will happen. It's not about, oh, we're going to be raised up into the sky with Jesus. That's not how it. That was the best way that they could describe it back in biblical days. Okay. So, the new earth that we will be living in will be still here on this planet. But those of us who are able to exist in 4D or higher are going to have a new earth to live on. It will be a reality that is pollution free. There's no fear, there's no hate, there's no room for anger. It will be love and brilliance and beauty, community. That's what it will be. So, right now, their goal, the reptilians' goal agenda is a one world government, one world order to control the people. It's all about control. They're the gods, not you, according to their mentality. We're just little pawns to them. We mean nothing to them. We are nothing but energy for them to feed on. Oh, they love our fear. They love our anger. They love our hate. They feed off of it. It gives them life. Stop giving it to them. Stop existing in that. Fear is an illusion. When you are awake, you know that fear is an illusion. You know that this is all just a play, just theater being played out while they're behind the scenes, pulling the strings, setting up the props, thinking that we don't know anything of what's going on, because they rely on the fact that most of you are asleep and stupid. Sorry, but stupid because you're programmed. They have programmed you. They have mind controlled you. They have manipulated you through social media, through Twitter and Facebook, the news. Wake up. It is time to wake up. It is time to be who you were meant to be here on this planet. Most of us came here to be light workers, to be the star seeds and the warriors that we are. Why do you think we always feel like the stars are our home? Unless you are an earthly soul, which there are some. There's nothing wrong with that. It's because you're a new soul. You're not an old soul. And that's perfectly fine. You can still join us. You can still join those of us who are millions of years old. Just because you are a new soul does not mean that you cannot be awake. Okay? It does not mean that. So, do what you came here to do. Raise your vibration. Love yourself. Love one another. Stop with the hate and the division, because that's exactly what they want. Then they know they have you in their grasp. They know at that point that they can succeed with their plans. Why do you think Joe Biden and all of his buddies there at the Capitol are rushing to get everything done? Because they think they are winning. Their lust for power has made them fools. They're being fools. They will come crashing down. Their truth will be expelled, be shown. And I think I had asked my guide, one of my spirit guides, who is part of my Palladian and Lyran soul family. I asked her, I said, why is this happening? Why are they letting Joe Biden win? Why? She said, because it needs to happen. More people need to wake up. And by him being in there will help people wake up. Like, oh, good Lord. So now we have to deal with all this crap. And she says, you've been through this before. This isn't the first time humanity has gone through this kind of tyranny control. You know, they have tried, the reptilians, the draconians, they have tried to break the contract that was set up millions of years ago. They have tried to break it many, many times. And they keep pushing the boundaries. This time, she told me they broke the contract. They have broken it. She told me that they will intercede if they need to, because they are worried about the nuclear weapons on this planet. They are worried and concerned that we will destroy this planet before we are able to raise the vibration of the planet. That's what they're concerned about. But she said not to worry, they will intercede. She said some of them may have to suffer some losses. But that's why we are seeing more and more UFO activity. That's why they're showing up around military bases more, because they're trying to find out maneuvers and tactics that are being done. They are trying to protect us. They are trying to protect America and other countries from being demolished, this planet from being destroyed before it is too late. But I truly believe that they will help us. And she said that they may have to reveal themselves. So we need to be ready. That I hate to call them aliens because it's so derogatory in a sci-fi Star Trek-y way. They're beings. Some of them are very, very loving. Some of them are more articulate. And, okay, we heard about the Greys. The Greys, some of them are very helpful to us. Some of them are not. Just like there's bad apples in every group, right? Some of them, especially with the lower vibrational species, there's bad apples. Then there's good apples, all right? So some of them are not so good. They take people and do experiments on them, like capturing them, kidnapping them. That is not what the agreement was. That is not okay. That's against code, and they're breaking it. So are the reptilians, breaking the code, and this has gone on for far too long. So the ones that have our best interests in mind are going to reveal themselves very soon, I believe. Within the next year, I think. I truly believe this. She says soon, she's saying to me. Soon. Well, usually when she says soon, it's soon. Or, their concept of time is different than us, but I've worked with her and tried to help me understand, okay, I need more than just soon, because soon doesn't really tell me anything. Soon can be a year from now. Okay, she says soon is closer than a year. All right. So anyway, I have explained a lot of things. I'm going to do another video soon about my experience where I believed I was on my soul family's spaceship. They are beings, high vibrational beings, that have been watching over this planet, and they are traveling around the galaxy. They have their own agenda too, their own purpose. But I was able, this was a few years ago, probably about maybe 5 years ago, I had an experience of going on their ship. Not physically, but astral projection. And I'll explain all of that experience in my next video, which maybe I'll do in a couple days. So I'm going to encourage all of you to raise your vibration. Reading the Bible can help some. but it's not going to raise your vibration. Praying and meditating and loving yourself and loving others and doing acts of kindness will raise your vibration. Do you want this shit to end? I want this shit on this planet to end. In this 3D realm, I'm tired of going through this. All this pain and suffering every time I come down here. Granted, we all had our reasons for experiencing it. There was a purpose for it. But I'm done. I don't want to exist in that anymore. And I'm sure many of you are done. So please, start meditating. Expanding your mind. Open your third eye. See things for how they really are. It is time to wake up. I'm saying this with all my heart. I'm not just saying it, be like me. I'm saying it for your benefit, for others' benefit, for this planet, for us to live in a new earth. Okay? I love you all. Peace out.